Hello, welcome back again for another episode of The Works. I'm Jim.
I'm Diane.
Before we jump into the topic that was teased in our little promo, we're going to have to start doing promos more often, apparently.
That's a good idea.
Yeah. And don't forget to smash that like button and subscribe, too.
Yeah.
That's important. That'll help us out a lot. But before we jump into, we kind of teased it. I know I made a connection between Austin Powers and his mojo, but speaking of Austin Powers, actually Mike Myers, I literally found myself the other day watching a commercial on YouTube, which was a commercial, which I didn't know that was a commercial. You saw that, right?
Oh, yeah, where he was Dr. Evil.
Yeah, and not he wanted to come up with some evil cellular phone company, and they all told him it was, done before. I mean, again, it's an old bit, but I found myself actually watching a commercial.
Yeah, instead
because
of
it looked
skipping.
like a short. Because
it looked like a reel, a short.
Yeah, or whatever you go to YouTube for.
Or tickety talk.
Yeah, boy, what's the world coming to? So yeah, we're going to talk about that. Oh, before we do, a couple things. We ran into a situation the other day where one of our AC units went out. Come to find out, it was because of the drain pipe had backed up, which of course then I now recall those late night commercials and how to prevent that and the $300 bill that comes from, but that's okay. I've learned my lesson. But the worst part about the AC going out, which again, good thing, it trips so it doesn't flood your attic. In our case, we got one of the units in the attic. The good news, I guess, like I said, it didn't cause any damage other than a couple $100, but the fact that the AC technically was on, but you couldn't control it.
Through the thermostat.
Because why? The thermostat and everything in this freaking house, in this world, it's web enabled. Now, what drives me nuts is why didn't those SOBs know that it was out? Trust me.
They should have let you know.
I looked on the portal, and indeed there was no activity from 2 o'clock, which looks suspicious. But anyway, here I was dreaming of the manual thermostat on the wall in Grandma's house.
Yeah, don't touch it.
Yeah, she had little tape tick marks of where things were supposed to be pointing to.
Don't you dare.
Yeah. Boy, and those were a Western PA in a house with no AC and brick. Oh my God, it got hot. It got so hot. I recall, now she wasn't there, we weren't there, but after the summer, the candles that were in the sconces on the walls were literally
drooped
180 degrees pointing down. It was so hot in that house. Oh, and then the other thing that was cute, me and my handy dandy work, playing Mr. Electrician, I finally dawned on me, I was messing with a solar panel, and I was trying to rewire it, and I kept shocking myself, and I stopped and said, it's a solar panel, it's not plugged in, for Christ's sake. Well, it's a solar panel, and it's outside, and
so yes, so it was charging.
It was on, and so
there's no on-off.
There's a YouTube video that talks about the painstaking approach of taking it inside. Yeah, I was outside. I guess that was an important part of the story, but taking it inside, laying it on a carpet or something flat with another carpet or a blanket to cover it, so that there's no
charge
outside light hitting the panels, which would, of course, cause electricity and maybe shock yourself if you weren't. Yeah, I kept for 20 minutes going, it's not plugged in. I couldn't get anything done. So yeah, we're talking about government waste projects. And one in particular, I know you've got a lot, and this is kind of more topical, I think, and you tell me if it's not, but it made me look into, you and I being SNL watchers, I was trying to figure out the whole issue with, or the situation around the stories that Colin Jost and Pete Davidson purchased their ferry. And technically what they purchased, and see, this is where it was confusing to me, because what I looked into, again, government waste, the short answer is that the city of New York spends over $10 billion a year.
With a B.
With a B, in providing fares for all the locals on the Staten Island ferry. And again, that's why I was looking into it, and I thought that they had purchased a ferry from Staten Island. What they did was purchased a decommissioned.
Yeah.
So the funny side story to that is they've they bought one of these ferries at auction. It was like $300,000. So they got a great tax write-off, put money into it to refurbish it, and it has become an event party location, and they're doing quite well. So how about that? I mean,
that'd be a great view to party on a boat like that.
Well, and that is kind of
it's a huge flat surface. It's
great,
a floating.
Yeah, great views of the city. I mean, think about it. You're in the Hudson or whatever
Potomac. I don't know.
Well, yeah, whatever Sully drove the plane into. Right? Wasn't that in New York?
I don't know.
So anyway, yeah, that the city of New York, again, theme today is government waste. People
Billions.
in New York
for free ferry.
That ferry's free. The New York ferry, however, isn't free, and that one costs you a little bit. It's $4.50. But I had no idea that those that live in New York, and I guess you don't have to live in New York. You travel to New York as a visitor. You could take the Staten Island ferry, but maybe that's the dirtier one of the.
Yeah, who knows?
I don't know why. Considering that it's technically free. So, the fact that the government chips in $70 million a year.
70 million
for, and it's a big number.
That's still a lot.
70 million, so that everyone has can go on the ferry free. And that just makes me think of something that Stefan would have talked about in some Saturday Night Live skit.
Right.
Ferry for free, but that's a whole lot. So yeah, government waste. I know I had looked up one other that ongoing the government spends. I'm going to make sure that I got this number right. There are over 77,000 empty federal buildings. And of course, a lot of that with COVID, people working remotely, et cetera.
77,000
77,000 empty federal buildings in the country that they have to maintain, right?
Right.
Even though they're empty.
Not being used.
That bill is $1.7 billion a year as a B to
maintain,
make sure that they don't turn into some rat trap, condemned building. But why not sell them? I mean, I don't understand.
I don't know.
Again, government waste. The next time we complain about, or they complain about the shutdown and the budgets, here's a simple $2 billion you can cut just by not maintaining. And again, there are others, which I know you've looked into, quite a few of those, right?
Of empty buildings?
Not empty buildings, but projects where government's wasting money, you know.
Well, there was the one that you had teased about before about what if we had a canal, across Florida.
Florida, right. Much like the intercoastal waterway that they built because of World War II and hiding boats from the Germans that were trying to sink us.
Or, we had the Panama Canal, and then they made a second one of those. But this one, people had toyed with the idea back in the 1700s, 1800s. It's always been a topic of conversation.
Make the route shorter.
Right.
So instead of having to go all the way around Florida.
Right. You go up through the
and
top
it's right
part.
off Fort Lauderdale. It's pretty close to the top of Florida on the East Coast side.
Right.
And it was
so it goes from the Gulf side over to the Atlantic side.
Yeah.
Now, so back
Shortcut.
in 1933, they're like, well, let's go ahead and give it a whirl. They figured it would be about 143 million to complete, and all systems were go. And then, oopsies, a Michigan senator in 1936 said the project was never approved by Congress.
Oh, interesting. So they spent all this money and
so
somebody on a loophole decides that they want to stop it because their state wasn't getting any money.
Right. In the meantime, the funds had been exhausted, with 5,000 acres cleared and 4 bridge piers constructed. So they were chucking.
What was that called? What's it called?
The Cross Florida Barge Canal. Cross Florida Barge Canal. So then it was reauthorized by Congress in 1942. So, it's on again, it's off again, it's
Oh,
on
there was
again.
another, and that was it. Yeah, I remember that. I think I called it the Marjorie Harris.
Well,
car
that's what
crush.
it
It's
what
what
it
it turned
became.
into,
That's what
right.
it turned into. Yes.
Right.
So it was reauthorized by Congress in 1942, and it was deemed a national defense program,
Oh,
and they allotted $93 million for it.
but not to make it a canal, but just to in this.
No, it was still the same thing, but it
okay.
was just labeled something
Something
that was
different.
more
Okay.
palatable.
All right.
Because if you label it that way, then it's easier to get through than, hey,
Oh,
we're
true.
all about capitalism and we need to go from one end to the other.
Well, and it's cutting Florida. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
Florida's not a super wide state, but you're talking what, 100 miles?
Yeah.
Okay.
So, but the funds were never allocated to the Army Corps to actually start construction. So, oopsies, you got it, but you never allotted it to the Army Corps of Engineers.
Gotcha. And as of today,
Well, the planning got the go-ahead in 1963 with support from JFK, and they allotted all of $1 million towards it.
to do what?
I don't know, like that would ever be enough.
That's less money what they estimated the whole project to be. But,
Yeah, but they never, released those funds. It was supposed to be $93 million, and then here it is in 1963. It's $1
Wow.
million. So then Lyndon
so 30
Johnson.
years basically passed, and
Mhm.
not much work was done, except there was, some work had been done, but
Right. So Lyndon Johnson started the explosives to start the work in 1971.
okay.
No. So by 1971, only 2 sections were completed. And it was put on hold due to conservation of the
sure.
Okalawaha River
Yeah.
Valley ecosystems,
So
and that's where Marjorie Harris' car came in.
I see.
She's like, no, this is not a good thing. So
So we went from, and again, it's interesting. So here goes a generation, right? So in the 30s, the idea was, let's cut the route between the Gulf shipping and the Atlantic by cutting a
big old swath.
through Florida, about 100 miles worth of creating a canal in order to shorten that. I guess another 600, 700 miles instead of going down around the tip and back up.
Right.
But
It's not like they're going around
sure.
South America.
No, but still, okay.
Yeah.
So again, grandiose idea.
And then in
why not?
71.
Because let's face it, everyone had a canal. I
Right,
mean,
why
Panama
not?
had one. And why not?
Why not starting in
It
the
would
Gulf
make a
of
great-
America?
It would make it, and it would make a great T-shirt.
Yeah.
I
So in
think.
1971, that there was the lawsuit about the environmental issues. So at that point, $74 million had already been spent on this project.
And we didn't get the canal.
We did not. And they finally gave up and canceled any hopes of ever finishing this in 1990.
So what's left? Like you said, there is this greenway that,
Yeah, it's a recreation area.
which is what? I looked at more than a mile and a half of the 100 miles that the whole project swath would have been.
Yeah, they only cleared 5,000 acres. 5,000 acres.
Yeah.
And 4 bridge piers. That's it.
And
then, but I'm interested. I should go down the rabbit hole to see how much money they spent on this greenway.
well, okay, but where I was going with it earlier is that if you think about it, so Generation 1 in the 30s thought great idea, and we're 30 years of fighting because, of course, that's the way Congress and the government is. They started it, so now we've got another generation in Congress in charge, basically. And we went from, and of course, wartime, think about what's going
World
on
War
in
II.
the mentality, and then
Korea,
then
Vietnam.
hippies,
Mhm.
then they love, drug, sex, rock and roll, the hippies of the 60s. They decide because, of course, as what we all like to do, our parents were stupid, and we want to undo everything that they did because we want it better. So the baby boomers decided that, no, we're And again, at that time, it was all about saving the earth.
Right.
And we talked about this once before. It's like I can recall almost as much fun as going on vacation with my family. The absolute hilarity that ensued when my father decided he wanted to clean out the car. You'd go find a back road and just start chucking shit out the window. People littered back then, right?
Because it was somebody's job to pick it up.
Well, but again, so here we have the 70s coming by, and we don't want to litter. We want to take care of this planet, which is the opposite of. I'm not saying a complete, opposite of what was going on, but so that's what happened more than likely. Now, if you think about it, this kind of project would be probably sellable today because we would save so much in diesel fuel
of not having to go around.
Right. I mean, right? Think about it.
Well, but you have trains. You can do trains.
Well, but canals aren't. I mean, again, it's not super. So easy, autonomous boats. You could have an autonomous boat go from one side to the other, and hell, it's a canal. It can't be more than 40, 30, 50 feet. You could have charging stations along it. It's not like the ocean, for God's sake, that you're having to navigate around. Right. This is easy. This you could sell this idea again. Why not? Because again, it's all about the opposite.
Well, it depends on the wetlands and what animals and everything.
I know, but what's in Florida? I mean, honest to God, what's
mosquitoes?
This would help.
Ride.
No,
I don't know.
Okay.
But if you put
yes, I give up.
If you harness the movement of the water to make clean energy, then you'd be able to.
Oh, you mean from the canal? Yeah. Sure. I mean, hell, you could turn it into one hell of a long flume ride.
Oh, well, yeah, charge admission.
Sure.
I would do that.
Yeah, why not? So, yeah, I mean, it's interesting because we found a lot of these types of projects. The one that I was making fun of was Mojo, but it's not Mojo, it's Moho.
Right.
And that's another one that we were looking into that.
Yeah.
We spent and the idea, I guess, behind it, it's the idea that still kind of gets at me that why are we spending that much money on this? Or I guess the way I look at it is, what are we truly saving by doing this?
Right. So what Moho is, it's the boundary between the Earth's crust and the mantle. So it's deep down there.
Yeah, but so what magical things are down there?
Well, I don't know. So this was in the early 60s. This project was to drill through Earth's crust to obtain samples of the Moho. And I was like, well, why?
Yeah, who named it that?
It's short for, I don't even know how to say it. Yeah.
Okay.
It's not an acronym. It's just a
scientific thing or whatever. Yeah. Sure.
But it was the guy that wanted this project. It was to test his theory of plate tectonics.
Okay.
Tectonics and the seafloor spreading. Okay. So he wanted to back up what his theories were by doing this. Now, does it advance mankind? I don't know.
Right.
But it was, we're in a rush into space. So why don't we, further our exploration of Earth? So they decided that.
So how deep are we talking?
It is. I gotta look through my notes here.
Well, I guess the reason I'm asking is,
they were drilled 601 feet below the sea floor.
Oh wow! Oh well,
so that was under 11,700 feet of water. So, and the reason why they went where water is that the mantle lies much closer to the surface of the sea floor than anywhere else. So that would be the easiest way to get through it. So these group of scientists got together and they got funding from the National Science Foundation, and it was a go. So you're like, okay, phase 1, it was a modest 2.5 million. I mean, that's not a lot to test some boreholes, and the drill ship was made up from the acronym of different consortiums of oil companies. It was the CUSS. It was from the oil companies of Continental, Union, Superior, and Shell. So, they're doing drilling. Well, why not? Oil companies, they do drilling, so it makes sense that they got involved. So, and they invented dynamic positioning, where they had 4 large outboard motors positioning the ship with surrounding moorings and using acoustic techniques to guide the motors. And so it was a way to it was floating.
Okay.
Well, most drilling, those are static. So this was a way to, within a 600-foot radius.
Are we using that technology now for rigs?
I don't know. I think most of the rigs out there are static structures.
Absolutely.
I should talk to a family friend that he did the deep sea drilling of oil, and he would live, underwater for 6 months at a time.
Oh, wow. Well, okay.
But that would be a good person to talk about this. How close do they get to the moho when they do it?
So again, just to help me frame a reference. So we want to drill several hundred feet below the bottom of the sea, and the bottom of the sea we're going to call 11,000 feet below surface, right?
Yeah,
or thereabouts.
Before this, yeah.
Okay, so let me just real quick, and this is what are the years?
This was in 1960s.
Okay,
1960s. Mm-hmm.
Now, I guess I asked the ridiculously obvious question: how deep have we ever been in a vessel in the water to date? Do we know? So, only frame of reference that I have. Sad the that Titanic submersible that imploded.
Mm-hmm.
How deep did that go?
I don't know.
10,000 feet before, because the Titanic itself on the floor is at around the 12,000 feet.
Okay.
That again.
So this is a big deal that they went down this deep.
Well, they successfully could drill that deep, right? That's but then to even go further down.
Yes.
That's
another 601 feet. So they did 5 holes. And so this was great proof of concept. So they decide that they're going to get started on phase 2.
Okay.
And it was doomed because the 4 main oceanic institutions couldn't agree where to do it. And there was a lot of backstabbing and infighting. One wanted it closer to them. Others wanted it somewhere else. It was a struggle, too, because one team wanted to start conservative, and the other wanted to proceed at once to drill the deepest hole that they could.
Sure.
So depending on which approach you take, it's a different engineering, equipment, management, all of that. So I'm the best. No, I'm the best. And so with all these academia, it's fierce competition. So you had 4 main groups working on this. So it was a conflict with universities and contractors and members of the team. So you're like, okay, so it started promising. And then the contractor that they decided to award it to was Brown and Root, was the contractor who had 0 experience in drilling.
But how did they? Oh, I guess in typical government fashion, they won the contract because they came in the cheapest.
I don't know if it was
sure. Okay.
Political. But
so they get the contract. They have no idea what they're doing.
They have no idea what they're doing. And let me see here. And they never finished phase 2. They never.
How much money did they get?
By the time they got to the end of phase 2, which they never completed, they spent $57 million.
That's insane. I mean, I guess it'd be different if we went into most of these projects with the understanding that we might get some other ancillary technology or discovery from it.
Right, but an energy source or something.
Because in all honesty, that's the way, sadly, a lot of corporate projects, and again, you and I are both IT people, and that sadly is something that, in that world, we throw up our hands and go, oh, change request, change request. It's not falling into the, line of what we sought to do. However, hey, this is kind of interesting, right? But the problem is, we don't like to investigate we don't want to investigate the interesting because it's throwing us off of what it is that we were intending to do. My point is that now, because you stick to your gun, you stick to the project, nothing good comes from it if you don't succeed 100%. Why not give yourself that latitude and say, you know what, we might not make it, but at least what will come from this is we'll learn that drilling at that depth is possible, and that and the floating thing that you said, again, all these things that we developed, that IP is worth something somewhere, you would think.
Right.
And or of course the problem is the government's not going to be able to understand that, but maybe it's private industry that maybe figured that out and is able to take advantage of that. But it's
and I didn't continue down the dive because it was about our project, but I guess the Chinese have drilled into the mohole.
Oh.
I'm still flummoxed as to why. But,
well, and then that's going to make that one YouTube video I like a possibility, which if you're digging too deep on the beach, you might run into a Chinaman.
Yeah.
Right? No, I mean, again, it's, and we're going to look at some of other, of these kind of failed or doomed projects that, tons of money were spent on. I mean, we've been kind of talking about that waste in government, but.
Yeah, I mean, it's good to do sciencey things, but nowadays, to justify it, you need to have a return on investment or something that, based on what you're doing, there might be an application, something to build off of it.
Yeah, and
because
I guess the idea of exploratory, if you think about it, so you got Lewis and Clark who went and said, hey, look, we want to go west. And they did.
They did.
Why can't we, and I guess it's because we have to put guardrails around things or formality or whatever project management institution bullshit that you got to fill this form, and state, state your mission. But, and where I was going with that is I kind of liken it to the idea of today, if a surgeon cuts you open, it's for a specific reason. And God forbid, if they find something else along the way, one, they probably aren't going to deal with it. Two, if they do, insurance is going to deny that shit all day long.
Right, because he didn't get pre-op.
That's not what you got a friggin' referral for. But my point is, there was a term years ago called exploratory surgery, right?
Right.
They'd cut you open to see what was going on, which I guess is against the Hippocratic Oath because you're not supposed to do anything to harm to somebody. But what's more harmful than doing something surgically to a person and then discovering, oh my God, it's because of this, this, and this. And I guess my point is with what seems in retrospect a huge waste of money, we don't get anything positive from it because we had such a specific goal in mind.
Right.
Why can't we just say we're going to go to the moon?
Well, like this project, well, I think we should do it this way. Well, I think we should do it this way. Too many cooks in the kitchen.
Yeah.
Too many managers.
So, yeah, we'll take a look at others. And we're also going to, I guess officially we've decided we're going to start another series on not specifically the hot sauce industry like that we're in, but more around, hey, if we knew what we know now about all the things that we ran into trying to start our own business, how much further maybe we would be. It's sad because as much as the country is entrepreneurial and, I guess I liken a lot of these social media people that have truly are entrepreneurs. They're making a living off of creating content. But the fact that it's probably not the easiest thing to do, it's not obvious. There are no college courses for it. There
probably are now.
Well, sure, but it's like they still taught COBOL 20 years ago when that was it's like teaching Latin, for Christ's sake.
Right.
What's the point? So we're going to start talking about, looking back on our successes, how we got from point A to point B, and in having Maiden NC, hot sauce company that.
And we'll dive into some of the experience of running that business and the highs and lows
and why why we got into it, and so we're gonna do that, but we're also gonna keep it light and fun, and we'll keep the series of banter going on as well, but so it's a good conversation again until we meet up again with the next topic. This is Jim.
I'm Diane.
And you've been listening to another episode of The Works.